I would like to start off by saying I am a very rational person. I don't subscribe to the ideas of ghosts, goblins, or aliens going bump in the night. That being said, there have been times when I have witnessed events that I can't explain. While I am not ready to give in to the notion of ghosts, I want to recount what happened to me during that summer that I worked as a lifeguard. The summer came and went without incident, except for a few scraped knees and sunburns. That all changed on a Saturday in September. What should have been the most boring day yet that summer became something I could never explain. Being the weekend, there were 3 lifeguards on duty. It turned out to be a waste of manpower because the day was unusually cold, and no swimmers came to the pool that day. Shane sat in the lifeguard stand, staring at the still water. Someone was required to be sitting in the lifeguard stand at all times while the pool was open, even if no visitors were present. The chair was Shane's punishment for being 30 minutes late that day. We all hated the chair, having to sit perched above the water yelling at kids to walk and stop roughhousing. It was a total babysitter job. The punishment seemed pretty meek that day with no visitors. I had just walked back to the rear gate after taking out the trash when we heard it. A splash, and the pitter-pat of little wet feet coming from across the pool near the entrance gate. It was definitely a running child. After a summer spent hearing that sound, I will never forget it. Shane and I both turned our heads toward the sound, confused. The only people at the pool that day were Shane, myself, and our boss, Alice. There was no one there. "Alice, did someone just come in the pool?" I called to her. "No, but I just heard someone come running by." She walked out of the concessions booth and outside the gate, expecting to see an eager child, running back to their parent after dipping their toes in the pool before their mother could make it out of the parking lot. But there was no one there. The area around the pool was flat land for 200 yards with no place to hide. I walked around the pool, followed by Shane to the front gate. We were all sure we heard the same thing, and that's when I noticed the water. There was a small wet area on the edge of the pool, with small wet footprints on the cement leading out of the gate. The footprints faded the further they were from the pool, and 10 feet outside the fence, there were none visible at all. Alice and I checked the parking lot and the restrooms, even though there was no chance anyone could have made it to the building without being seen. We even checked the sub-basement by the deep end of the pool, where the pump equipment is located, but no one was found. Alice and I returned to Shane, who waited eagerly. "So, who was the kid?" Shane questioned Alice. "There was no kid. Just forget it." "What do you mean, just forget it? What about the footsteps?" Shane became agitated. I know the footsteps were not really a big deal, but Shane didn't handle things that question his worldview very well. He tended to handle them with hostility. "Look, there's no one out there. There's nothing. Just forget about it, okay?" Alice handled the unexplained differently. She tried to ignore it and forget. "What about the footprints?" I didn't want to provoke Alice, because she wasn't just my boss, but she was one of my closest friends from school. "They don't look much like footprints anymore." Alice pointed to the overall shapes the water spread into. Before, we all agreed they looked like the footprints of a young child. Alice walked into the concession stand, and Shane and I went back to the other side of the pool. I mean, sure, it was freaky, But we probably wouldn't even remember this in a week. That most likely would have been true if that was where it ended. Closing procedures for the pool were pretty routine. One person turned down the chlorine from the sub-basement next to the deep end of the pool, while the other two pulled the 3 long tarps over the pool. The tarps were kept at the shallow end of the pool on large spindles, and kept there all day until they are pulled back over the pool. I pulled the tarps over the water while Alice went to lower the chlorine. Shane checked and put away the lifeguard equipment before helping me finish with the tarps. We wheeled the spindles back away from the pool, waiting for Alice to call it a night. That was when we heard it. Splashing under the tarps. Shane and I heard the splashing and watched as one of the tarps shook and bounced violently. Alice came running up from the sub-basement screaming, "There's a kid in the pool under the tarp! I saw them through the pool windows downstairs!" Shane threw on a pair of goggles and jumped into the pool between the 2 tarps, while I grabbed one tarp by the handles and began pulling it off of the pool. Alice ran to the edge of the pool where we had seen the footsteps hours earlier, looking at Shane in the water. Shane came up for air and grabbed the side of the pool. "There's no one in the pool." "What? No way, I saw him. It was a little boy with dark hair and red swim shorts." Alice ran her fingers through her hair. I hooked the tarp to the spindle and had finished rolling it up off of the pool. Alice ordered me to take all the tarps off, and normally I would object to doing it myself, but given the circumstances, I complied without complaint. Shane and Alice continued scanning the pool, but never found a boy in the water. We closed up for the night without talking about it. I tried to bring it up with Alice at school, but she wasn't interested in speaking about it. The summer ended, and so did the job. I almost forgot about the whole thing until Alice called me the next year. She had come back to lifeguard at the pool again that summer. Alice was crying, and she was in near hysterics about the phone call she had just received. That evening, after the pool closed, a 5-year-old boy and his family had hung around outside the changing rooms having a picnic in the grassy area. The pool gate had been locked, and all of the staff had left. The boy squeezed through a gap in the fence, and he fell into the pool. He'd slipped underneath one of the tarps. They had heard the splashing, but by the time they climbed over the fence, the boy had drowned. Alice was called to open the gate for the police department. She arrived only minutes after the paramedics and saw them bringing the boy to the ambulance. It was the same boy she saw the summer before. The red shorts and dark hair. She was sure of it. Alice continued to sob into the phone. I wasn't there to see the boy, but Alice has never been a liar. I believe what she saw. I'm just at a loss to explain it. Did the 3 of us imagine everything? Or were we haunted by the ghost of a boy that hadn't yet died? Like I said before, I am a rational person. I just can't explain what happened at the pool.